Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. Charles Mesure's name might not immediately pop into every soap fan's head the way Laura Wright's does, but when his role as Brennan surfaced on General Hospital, it stirred attention. Now, in the aftermath of his exit, he's pointing fingers toward the set environment, toward the culture behind the camera, and controversially, toward Laura Wright herself. The claims are sharp, the tone is unfiltered, and the ripple effect among fans has been enormous. When Mesure speaks, it isn't in the careful, PR-approved tones that many actors adopt when leaving a project. Instead, his commentary has been biting. He describes the General Hospital set not as a family, not as a professional dream job, but as a toxic work environment that ultimately forced him out. Brennan was a character that had potential, a layered figure who could play both menace and charm, yet Mesure insists the real villain wasn't in the script. It was the culture behind the scenes. For years, soap actors have hinted that daytime dramas come with demanding schedules, heavy workloads, and little patience for dissent. But Mesure isn't talking about workload alone. He's alleging something deeper, a culture where cliques, favoritism, and politics overshadowed talent. He says that while Brennan's storyline was crafted to bring tension and spark to Port Charles, the real tension was off-screen. He paints a picture of an environment where certain actors were shielded and celebrated, while others were left struggling to fit into a system that didn't welcome them. The most striking part of his commentary has been the way he brings Laura Wright into the conversation. Laura, of course, is not only one of the most recognizable faces on General Hospital, but also one of the most influential. As Carly Corinthos, she anchors storylines that ripple through almost every major arc on the show. Fans love her, critics recognize her, and producers rely on her. But Mesure hints that with that stature comes power, and he suggests that power doesn't always create fairness. He claims that speaking up on set, raising concerns, or even just not fitting into the inner circle could mean career suicide. And in his telling, Laura Wright represented that inner circle. He doesn't accuse her of direct sabotage, but he paints her as emblematic of the culture he calls toxic. He describes moments where her voice carried disproportionate weight, where her preferences shaped the environment around her, and where those who didn't align with that energy found themselves sidelined. For fans, this accusation is hard to swallow. Laura Wright has built a reputation over decades not only as a powerhouse actress, but as someone deeply committed to her character and the show itself. To hear her name pulled into a controversy of this kind raises uncomfortable questions. Is Mesure exaggerating? Is he lashing out after an unsatisfactory stint? Or is he shedding light on dynamics that soap fans rarely get to see but that quietly shape casting decisions and actor experiences behind the curtain? Mesure doesn't hold back on his criticism of the process itself. He explains that scripts were sometimes rewritten at the last minute, leaving actors scrambling. That's not unusual in the soap world, but he claims the chaos was compounded by an atmosphere of favoritism. Certain actors, in his view, were given space, understanding, and protection from that chaos, while others were expected to simply make it work no matter how unreasonable the circumstances. Brennan, as a character, deserved careful crafting. Instead, Mesure says he was shoved into the role of a disposable villain, more a prop than a person. He talks about the exhaustion that comes not from hard work but from battling a sense that the playing field is never level. He insists that in an industry already grueling memorizing pages upon pages of dialogue daily, filming multiple episodes a week, maintaining continuity under pressure, there should at least be fairness. Instead, he says, favoritism ruled the day. And to him, Laura Wright's status symbolized that imbalance. What makes this particularly explosive is that Laura Wright isn't just any cast member. She's a face of the franchise. For Mesure to drag her into the discussion isn't just name-dropping, it's a deliberate move that guarantees attention. He suggests that the problem isn't only producers or executives, but also how star players shape the atmosphere. When a set is structured around a few dominant personalities, others can feel squeezed out. For an actor like Mesure, stepping into that world meant facing not only the script but also the politics. Fans are split. Some insist that Laura Wright's long tenure, her awards, and her ongoing popularity prove she's earned every ounce of her influence. They argue that Measure's comments sound like sour grapes from an actor whose character simply didn't land with the audience. After all, Brennan wasn't a long-term fixture. His arc was sharp, short, and designed to ignite drama rather than anchor the canvas. To them, Mesure is blaming others for the natural course of a soap character's lifespan. Others, however, hear his words and recognize patterns. They point to stories from other soaps where actors have spoken about toxic environments, about favoritism, about how senior stars dominate while newer or lesser-known actors struggle to be heard. They recall departures from General Hospital and other daytime dramas that came with whispers of backstage drama, feuds, or hostile conditions. For these fans, Measure's words feel like validation that the glossy product on-screen hides cracks behind the scenes. Mesure describes moments that sound like classic workplace dysfunction, being excluded from conversations, receiving inconsistent feedback, or feeling that no matter how much he invested in the role, the game was rigged. He insists that Brennan could have grown into a more nuanced figure, someone who challenged the core characters in unexpected ways. Instead, he says, the character was flattened, stripped of layers, and then discarded once he served his short-term purpose. And while that may be a writer's choice, Mesure insists it was also shaped by a culture that never truly supported his presence. His comments have reignited broader conversations about daytime TV. Soap operas are beloved, but they're also industries under strain. Budgets are tighter than they once were. Shooting schedules are brutal. Writers juggle dozens of arcs at once. In that environment, fairness and respect matter even more. If actors feel disposable, if the environment feels toxic, then even talented performers won't stay long. Measure's claims tap into that anxiety. Are soaps failing to protect their talent? Are they allowing politics to drive decisions more than storytelling? Right into the spotlight of this criticism has raised stakes even further. She hasn't responded directly, at least not yet, but her silence hasn't stopped fans from debating. Should she defend herself publicly? Should she dismiss the comments as irrelevant? Or does her silence suggest that she knows engaging would only fuel the fire? In the court of public opinion, every move is dissected. For an actress as central to General Hospital as Laura, even being named in such a controversy is a storm she didn't ask for but one she now has to weather. Measure's criticism doesn't read like a calculated PR maneuver. It feels raw, even risky. Speaking out against a franchise as established as General Hospital could close doors in the industry. Casting directors might see him as difficult. Producers might avoid hiring him. Yet he chose to speak, suggesting the frustration ran deep enough that staying silent felt like betrayal to himself, to the craft, or to the truth as he saw it. In his view, this isn't about one actor leaving a show. It's about how shows choose to treat people, about what kind of culture they nurture, and about how power is wielded. He says the Brennan arc could have been a highlight, but instead it became a cautionary tale. His words are a reminder that even in a long-running, much-loved series, dysfunction can flourish if it goes unchallenged. For soap fans, the question becomes, who do you believe? Do you take Mesure at his word, seeing his experience as evidence of a toxic culture that needs to change? Or do you stand by Laura Wright, recognizing her as a veteran who has given decades to the show and earned her position at the center of Port Charles? The truth, as always, might lie somewhere in between. But what's undeniable is that Measure's exit didn't just close a storyline, it opened a conversation. The debate now stretches beyond Brennan, beyond Mesure, even beyond Laura Wright. It raises questions about how daytime dramas evolve. If toxic environments push actors away, what happens to the future of soaps? If politics and favoritism outweigh creativity and fairness, how do shows sustain themselves? Measure's decision to call out what he experienced is uncomfortable, but it forces a reckoning. And maybe that's why his words resonate, even if fans disagree on their accuracy. He's daring to say what others might whisper but rarely announce publicly. He's turning his personal frustration into a spotlight on larger issues. Whether you see him as brave, bitter, or both, his commentary can't be ignored. And dragging Laura Wright's name into the conversation ensures it will be remembered. As the dust settles, fans will keep speculating. Did Measure's words reveal a truth hidden in plain sight? Or did they reflect one actor's bitterness after a short, unsatisfying run? Either way, The Brennan exit isn't fading quietly into soap history. It's now part of a louder story, one about power, fairness, influence, and the fragile balance that keeps a soap running smoothly. And in that story, Charles Mesure has ensured his voice will be heard long after Brennan's last scene. Come back to our channel for all your updates. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.